Hello everyone, welcome back. This is my 10th video in my Java tutorial series, and in this episode we will be going over the if statement, which is a very powerful and useful decision tool for the Java language. And what I have, I just want to take a quick moment. I typed up a sample program here just to kind of show you. I'll talk you through it real quickly though. I of course have my prompt which says enter your age, and then I made a scanner object, and I made that scanner, I made whatever the input be equal to integer, which I made state. Which I named. This is actually supposed to be age. And what this is going to do down in my if statement is test whether this age is equal to, or is greater than or equal to 21. And if it is, then it's going to print out you can drink. And where I'm currently living, the legal drinking age is 21, and of course by drink I mean consume alcohol. So if that's true, it's going to print out you can drink, and if it is not true, it's going to print out you can't drink. So it's pretty simple. It's a basic way to do this. So as you can see, if this statement's true, then it's going to perform whatever operation you have inside these brackets. If it is not true, it's going to skip over these brackets, and in this case I have an else statement, so it's going to print out you can't drink. And what an else statement does is this statement's going to run if this statement is false. But what I could have done here is simply leave off the else statement, which would have just skipped over this entirely. But what that would have done is it wouldn't have printed anything. It just simply would have skipped over that all. And yeah, so I'm not, hopefully you guys can understand that. I'm not going to print it out, or I'm not going to compile it or anything. I'm trying to make this quick, but I'll get to the next thing now. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to rewrite this a little bit, and it's going to be equal to state. I'm going to make this state, and what this is going to be is I'm going to make this, I'll go over this really briefly, is this equal sign right here is testing whether or not this value is true to this value, but the equal operator only applies if you're testing numerical values or like booleans. It does not apply to a string. However, there is a way to do it with a string, and I'll just type this program up right here. So we're going to do string state equals next input, state equals, and here. This is where I'm going to type in I'll show you how to do it. So you're going to put the statement that you want to test, which in this case is state, and then we're going to put dot equals, and that's pretty simple. And then you're going to have parameters, and inside your parameters, this is the value that you're going to test whether or not the statement is true. And in this I'll put, in this, I don't know, I'll use Hawaii, I guess. I like Hawaii, that's a cool place. So if state is equal to, sorry, I left out system.in, my bad. So if state is equal to Hawaii, then it's going to print out, sorry, I guess we don't want to print this out, but it's like, cool, you live in Hawaii. I spelled cool wrong, that's nice. But, so that's how you're going to do a string. It's pretty much the same thing, but, it's, you got to do equals. But there is another way, because you might be thinking right now, if you're inputting a string, you could put Hawaii all lowercase, you could put Hawaii all uppercase, or you could do what I did and put an uppercase and a lowercase. So the way to have Java ignore whether the value that you input is uppercase, lowercase, or whatever, is you're going to put state dot equals dot ignore case. And so the I is and ignore is going to be capitalized, and the C is going to be capitalized, and E is going to be lowercase and everything. So if state is equal to Hawaii, no matter whether that is uppercase or lowercase, then it's going to print out, cool, you live in Hawaii. And this is going to bring in my next thing that I want to talk about, and that is the else if statement. And it's just basically a way to put two if statements two or more, multiple if statements down that'll have that can print out different things. Like, here, we'll change this. Sorry. We'll just copy this, put it down here, and we'll put Washington. And then we'll take this. And it's the same, you're just doing the same thing. The only difference is that you're putting else if. Now, notice if I go like this, well, there's not color syntax or there's color syntax, but there's not always just boxes around in all the programs. Often there isn't actually, but in Java or in BlueJ, notice that there's a box right here, and it goes away if you're just doing an if statement. Now, however, if you have else if, it's going to continue this all in one box. So that's just a quick way to tell you that this is all pretty much connected. This is all underneath this one original if statement. And type in Washington. So, and of course, else, we'll do an else statement just in case, like, just to make anyone else feel good that lives somewhere else. Cool. So, now we have state.ignore case Hawaii. It's going to print out cool, you live in Hawaii. And if you live in Washington, it's going to print out cool, you live in Washington. So we'll just do that, and it says enter your state. I'll enter Washington. And it says cool, you live in Washington. So that's just a simple way to, well, that in whole is pretty much the if statement and all the ways that you're going to use it. There's one last part that I'm going to talk about, which I could have actually done with all these statements, but that is leaving off the brackets, and I'm actually going to delete these two just to show you better. But if you're using an if statement ever and you only use one line of code after this initial the initial line of the if statement, you don't need to put brackets necessarily. It can save some space, and some people think it looks nicer. I generally put them just in case I ever feel that I may go back and put something else in. That way I don't have to do this whole thing that has to do with reformatting and everything. But it kind of makes it easier just to put brackets. But if you know that that's the only thing you're going to use in that code, then go ahead and go without brackets, because it is actually a cool. I don't know. It's one of the little things in Java that makes it pretty cool. Not that you can't do that in any other language, but still. So that's going to wrap this video up. That's all the things I want to talk about with the if statements. But, play around with it a little bit, have some fun, work on a project or whatever, and I'll get back to you in the next video. So thanks for watching.